surprised are you that Draymond did indeed get the suspension?
Probably a 4, a 5. I thought Skip, we talked about it, he might get suspended, but I say, but they did give Sabonis a flagrant.
They did.
So they might say that, since you initiated, you instigated it and caused Draymond to do this. But when you read that, they said history, priors matter.
Yep.
In sentencing, when you do a run afoul with the law, priors matter.
Yep.
Have you done something like this before? Have you been in trouble with the law before? Skip, he just did this last year with Memphis. I don't understand why when Draymond gets ejected from the game, why he just can't lead the court in a timely manner.
That's the question. There you go.
Why must he be Hulk Hogan at WWE?
There you go. There you go. Standing up on his chair.
And then he's yelling female body parts. Come on, Draymond.
I got it.
Skip, you would like to think a wise man learns from other mistakes.
Yeah.
A fool will learn from his own. How many times must Draymond be a fool? Now, in 2016, he said many believed that he cost his team a championship by getting suspended Game 5. He said, I've learned my lesson. It clearly shows he has not learned a lesson. What? Skip, and I get he's like, when the guy was grabbing my foot, normally, as a football player, Skip, if I'm going in one direction, a guy grabs my foot, I'm jerking it. When I put it down, it's going to go this way. He raises his foot, stomps in the guy's chest, and then pretends like, oh, this is what I had to do.
Okay.
Come on, Draymond. Why do you keep putting yourself in this situation? I believe this was the final straw. Now, maybe it was already. Maybe Draymond, the writing was on the wall, Skip, before he ever hauled back and threw that punch at Poole. Maybe the writing was on the wall, but I think this was the final straw. Because, Skip, they say production intolerance?
Yes.
I'll tolerate a lot if you produce. Where's the production that meet the tolerance of the behavior that Draymond keep exhibiting?
Yes.
He's a different player. He's not the same player in 2016 as he is today. He was a much better player then.
Agreed.
Had he not got suspended, they won the game. He might have been Finals MVP. You remember that Game 7 that he had, Skip?
Did he?
It was a monster.
Maybe the greatest game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah. What, a 35, 13, and 9. I just don't get why he keeps doing this. And he's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Really? So going into like, you know what? We're going to be down 0-2. I'm going to get suspended, and it's going to rally us. You already up against it because the Kings are not in awe. They didn't come to praise the Warriors.
Yeah.
They didn't come to, oh, this is going to be a coronation. Y'all, no, bro. We for real.
They came to bury.
We're the 3rd seed for a reason. It's not an accident.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, named clutch player. 91 of 100 votes.
For the season.
For the season.
Clutchest player. Yep.
He's it.
Yeah.
Skip, like I said, I'm on a 4. I thought he wouldn't get suspended for the simple fact they did give Domantas Sabonis a flagrant 1. And so, but when you look at his history of these antics, and then, what happened? Wasn't commissioned right there? 2 rows back.
He was sitting in looked like the 3rd row.
And he probably like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is a national televised game.
Maybe
And this
trying to slink down in the seat so nobody can see him.
Yeah, Skip, like how you come in late for church and you put that hand up like, we see you.
Yes.
You put your hand up, don't make you smaller.
Yep.
You just saying basically, excuse me for coming in late.
Yes.
And that's what the commissioner was. See, I mean, Draymond got to stop this. But I believe this is his final lap around the track with the Warriors.
I told you that yesterday. This is it, over and out. He has had a very good career. We could almost go to a great career because he's
he had a great career.
He's had 4 All-Star appearances. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in 2017. He's been twice the Steals champ. He's been really good. And by the way, his numbers this year are right on par with his career numbers. They're just coming in different ways.
Yeah, they
the
just
impact
don't seem
is not the same.
Okay.
Because it's still, for the regular season this year, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. That's just Draymond.
Right.
Okay. You say production tolerance. I always say at some point you become more trouble than you're worth. He has outlived his worth with the Warriors and with the league. And it was interesting yesterday. Shams, have nothing but respect for Shams, reported that it looked like the NBA must be leaning away from suspending because it kept going deeper and deeper into the evening.
Right.
And I'm with that report, and I'm not taking any shot at Shams because I thought that sounded correct to me. That rang true.
Did you think? Were you thinking like, okay, we don't want to upstage any of the starts of the other game because that's going to be the news. That's going to be the story.
Maybe. But it also felt like it took a while.
Right.
It wasn't a cut and dry, slam the book on down on Draymond.
Okay.
It looked like it took some time to wrestle back and forth because we went back and forth. And I told you, if we're just looking at that single incident, I'm not suspending him because Sabonis did start it with what I would call, excuse me, a dirty tactic.
Right.
It's not a dangerous play.
He's trying to protect himself.
No.
No, you put your hands over your chest or skip, you getting beaten, they tell you to roll up in the ball, protect your vitals. How you grabbing his leg? That man...
He grabbed his ankle because he didn't want Draymond to get a head start on him and beat him up the floor.
5 on 4, correct.
And Draymond is notoriously great at doing just that.
Yes.
So he's holding on. It's just one of the it's a Euro tactic. It's just a good tactic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quote unquote dirty pool, but he's trying to literally pull it off.
Right.
And yet Draymond's explanation, I think the commissioner rolled his eyes at, my leg got grabbed a second time in 2 nights. Referees just watch it. I've got to land my foot somewhere, and I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far. I can only step so far in pulling my leg away, so it was what it was. No, it wasn't. You stomped because you were sick and tired of Sabonis banging you, crashing you, and just 3 minutes earlier, I showed you yesterday, we talked about it, there was another play that went out of bounds, and he butts him. He just butts up against him and knocked him back. And they called a foul on Draymond, and then they challenged, and Steve Kerr got it overturned.
Right.
Okay, and here we go with this one. So just in and of itself, I think we agreed yesterday, no, you're not going to suspend him for that. But then the antics started.
Yeah.
And it's what I call conduct unbecoming of an NBA all-star. It's what you don't want to see. As they're reviewing the play, there's a break in the action, and Draymond just acts out. You talked about a fool. It's foolish behavior.
Yeah.
To me, it's borderline clownish behavior.
Yeah.
It's boorish behavior because I'm just getting tired of the act.
Just go sit down on the bench and let them look at the replay and see what transpired. And then when they make their decision, security's going to walk you. But he got to do the Hulk Hogan skip. He got to let trial. Give it to me.
Right. And we saw the same act a year ago in Game 1 at Memphis. If we can see that, where he took a victory lap after he got ejected from that game. That was in the second quarter of Game 1. And here we go. Yeah, this is the play in question, the flagrant foul. And then then he acts out and just remember that he took the victory lap. I think we might have it. I'm not sure we do. But if we could see him, all the antics that took place after this. And then here he goes. And he's dapping everybody up, as he did the other night. Is this? Yeah, this is at Memphis, as he exits. And he didn't stay to talk to the media on that occasion. He went straight back to his hotel because he had just started his podcast, and he went live on his podcast. At some point, it feels like he's more interested in his podcast than in his basketball, because it feels like it's a little bit of self-promotion. If I make a spectacle of myself, it's good for business because he's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And again, he's great at his podcast. He's got a future. He's already signed on with TNT. Okay, all that's great. But it feels like you're the new media. Well, when you're the new media, as you call yourself, you're part of the media. And obviously, you have a podcast, but you're now a media member. You are in the Hall of Fame, but you gave that up. You went forward, right? Okay, Draymond is sort of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So next year, he has a player option for $28 million. Well, I'm sure at this point, he better take it. He better take it.
Opting in.
He better opt in. And yet, it feels like, to your point, that Golden State is about ready to opt out, as in, how do you get out from under? It becomes Westbrookian for them. Like, okay, how do we get out from under? Do we have to wait to the trade deadline and hope somebody will take an expiring contract off our hands and buy him out? Would somebody take him in trade? I don't know exactly what he'd be worth. Would a young team feel like they could use him as a veteran? Okay, when we look at his history in Golden State, we go back to 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And you know and I know what started happening. He kicked Steven Adams, as you say, rocketed him, right?
Yeah.
And he had a history of doing that.
Right.
And then in the finals, game 4, it was at Cleveland. He got into it with LeBron. He yells at him. He calls him the B word. And then they go up the floor and get tangled up, and he punches him in the below the belt region.
Man, I'm watching how he kicked Steven Adams.
He just kicked him. Yeah.
But he's not flexible, though. He showed that looked pretty flexible to me.
You know, I got to tell you, Steven Adams, I saw in the Athletic poll, was voted as the second player on the list that you wouldn't want to fight.
Right.
Well, I'm surprised Steven Adams didn't respond.
Yeah, Skip, you just try to catch, on a situation like that, you just try to catch your breath. Yeah, you like, Lord, don't let me go out like
this.
this.
At some point, when you do catch your breath, is Draymond not going to catch hell? Because Steven Adams is not to be messed with.
He's
right?
a big man.
Okay. So we had that, which led to what you just pointed out was a suspension, which shocked me. I didn't think they would ever suspend a key player, obviously a starter, but the sort of guts and glue player of those Golden State Warriors.
I think we're both in agreement. We're more shocked that he got suspended in 2016 than he did now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because you just can't do it because it's going to shift the balance of power because he was much more important to the 2016 Warriors than he is to the 2023 Warriors.
Yes.
And it shifted. I'm not going to say it's the reason that your Cleveland Cavaliers came back from 3-1 down, but it was a big jumpstart reason because all of a sudden the Warriors go home and they don't look like the Warriors and they look discombobulated and they look like they've lost a little faith. Can you do it? Can you do it? We don't have Draymond. We can't do it. And all of a sudden, LeBron and Kyrie took control of the series and never looked back.
Right.
And go boom, 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 and just wiped them out even in a Game 7. Draymond played great in Game 7, but it wasn't enough to reverse the momentum that had been created by his suspension. Okay, then think of the other instance that we have. We got Draymond versus KD. The biggest reason, the beginning of the end of Kevin Durant in Golden State was the incident in which Kevin and Draymond are sitting next to each other on the bench at what was then Staples Center during a game against the Clippers. And one thing led to another, and they got sideways over who should have been bringing the ball up the floor. And reportedly, Draymond called Kevin the B word.
And then he bobbled the ball.
Yes. Okay. And I'm not sure, Kev, as you always say, that's one word. When you utter it, especially face to face to a man, it's hard to come back from that. Apparently, they have forgiven and forgotten, and they are now back to being besties. But at that point, I think Kevin was not happy, and I think it was very hard to rebuild the unity that they had after that incident, right? Okay. And then how did this year start off? You mentioned it, a punch. It might have come and gone if nobody had known about it.
Oh, yeah, it would have come and gone.
I think so. Well, it never would have come because we wouldn't have known about it. Right? And yet, it was Draymond punching an up-and-coming rising star who was a threat to him.
Or it would have been worded, there was an incident between Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Okay.
Was it just shoving? So we'd have never known the extent of it.
Well, we got the visual because somehow the video got leaked, which would indicate to me that somebody within the power structure wanted to make Draymond look as bad as you could make Draymond look. And it did because we all got to see it.
Yes.
And once you can see it, as you know, it just hits you full force right between the eyes. And you say, that was terrible.
Video changes everything.
I never got to see Michael Jordan punch Steve Kerr.
Correct.
I didn't get to see him punch Will Perdue. These are reported by Sam Smith in the Jordan Rich book. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what precipitated it. Those are two guys who were not up-and-coming stars. They just got under Jordan's skin during practice.
Right, where they're pushing and shoving. Did they come to blows? Or was it a situation where Jordan just walked up to Steve Kerr and punched him in the eye?
Knowing Jordan the way I do, he just it just irritated the hell out of him. Steve was making some shots on him or whatever. Maybe Steve said something to him.
I think he said that Steve was being physical and Phil wasn't calling any fouls.
Exactly. That's what it was. Okay. And finally, Mike just says, okay, I've had enough. And he is over-emotional and over-competitive during a scrimmage. This is just a practice scrimmage. And he jacks Steve Kerr in the jaw or hit him. I think he hit him in the eye because he had a black eye.
Right.
Okay. Steve Kerr was no threat to Michael Jordan. Obviously, Jordan Poole had become a threat to Draymond because Draymond used to be part of the big three, and all of a sudden it felt like Jordan Poole was edging into the big three, right? Okay, so the cumulative impact of all these incidents, to me, it affected Commissioner Silver's final reaction to this. Like, at some point, we have to say no to him. All the antics, all the bad look of this, and all the building up of all these incidents, it felt like that our commissioner here, the NBA, finally just said, you know what? Enough is just enough. It took him until the evening. You make a good point. Maybe he just wanted to wait until later in the Suns-Clippers game to let it go. Yeah, but usually these things are cut and dried, and this wasn't cut and dried. But it's huge that for Game 3, with Golden State, the defending champs, down 0-2 going home.
They're clinging. They're on life support.
They're on life support, and they don't have a guy who used to be their guts and glue. Okay, here's my final takeaway on Draymond's impact. In the dynastic years, and you could certainly include last year, this team needed Draymond's edge. They needed it. He gets voted. He got voted in the athletic poll the best trash talker. Well, he is. Golden State needed it because Steph is baby-faced Steph, right? Clay's a really nice guy, right? And they didn't have any enforcer. They didn't have much of their edge to their...
He was it.
Yeah, he was it. And yet the edge has gone over the edge into more trouble than it's worth because the positive has slowly become a negative for this Warriors team. And to your point about impact, he was the Defensive Player of the Year in 2017. Now, that's 6 seasons ago. Well, this year, a team that's always been top 3, if not top 1 in defense, has fallen to 17th in defense. Draymond's overall defensive win share still ranked pretty high at 22nd. That's still pretty, that's credible. It's just one notch below Joel Embiid, and I have high regard for his defense. But 22nd works. 17th doesn't work. So to your point, Draymond's not having the overall driving force defensive impact that he used to have as a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate, because I don't think anybody this year talked about him as a Defensive Player of the Year.
No, but when you look at it, Skip, you look at the people that he's guarding. Skip, I didn't realize this. They listed Domantas Sabonis at 7'1".
They do?
Yes.
I don't see him that tall. I was going to guess he was 6'10" or 11.
They ranked the top players at each height. Really? He won the 7'1" category.
7'1"?
That's exactly what I said. I'm like,
where was it? Who ranked it?
I was just reading on a poll yesterday. I forgot who ranked it.
Well, but I don't think he's that tall.
I didn't think he was that tall either.
Okay.
But if you look at the guys...
Draymond's banging with him.
But if you look at all the guys that he goes up against, he goes up against 8, 7 foot, Draymond 6'6". He goes against Jokic.
I got it.
He goes up against Anthony Davis. Joel, everybody's big. He's always undersized. He's never guarding a man his size for the most part. Because everybody's center is at least 4 inches taller than he is.
And how does he guard them? How is he effective? It's the way Russ has been effective against Kevin Durant so far in this series. When he guards Kevin, he just gets up underneath him, and he gets extremely physical with him. Almost to the point of, I'm going to bully you. And Draymond will fight you beneath you and out-position you, and he's got some Rodman in him because he's not a leaper, but he's a below-the-rim high IQ defender and rebounder. Okay?
And it's kind of like Rodman, Skip. He understands leverages, he understands angles, and he's constantly, he'll set it, he'll pull the chair out from under you, he'll move. He's constantly moving, so he understands the game, but he just gives up so much in height and weight that it's hard for him. That's why Joel Embiid said, oh, you said Yoke, and Joel Embiid put the numbers that he put up on him.
He did.
But you're not surprised by that. Joel Embiid is 7'2", 310. Draymond is 6'6", 230?
I think they list him at 6'7", but I'm with you. He looks 6'6"-ish to me. Okay, so he's only 33 years of age, just turned a month ago, 33. This is finishing year 11 for him. So you would think he still could have some basketball left. It just feels like it's not going to be in Golden State.
I'm going to be surprised that if it's in Golden State, Skip. I think they're starting to look at, like you say, he's more trouble than he's worth. He's not. He doesn't possess this. He has impact, but it's not the same impact. So here's a guy, Skip. He initiates the offense. He's their leader. He's their assist guy.
No, he is.
He's one of their two best defenders, and they're already having a problem defending.
Yeah.
So now you remove one of the best defenders. They already have a problem rebounding. He's one of your better rebounders.
Yep.
They're up against it.
Up against it.
The Warriors' net rating is almost 10 points better in this series when Draymond's on the floor versus when he's not. We'll see how his absence affects things, guys, tomorrow night when Game 3 tips off.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.